Thank you for tuning in to The Balancing Fact. I'm Angela Calais. I have been a full-time realtor for the past 16 years. With 3 kids running a real estate brokerage, I work to dispel the myth that you cannot have a work-life balance when working in real estate. That balance looks different for everybody. Today, my guest is Beth Flure, a realtor with Nick Sadek Sotheby's International Realty, Inc. in Sacramento, California. She began her career in the industry more than 30 years ago, first in the legal field and then in sales, specializing in residential real estate and real estate-owned properties. Her strong work ethic, coupled with enthusiastic attitude, has garnered a reputation as a realtor who values the trust and confidence in the relationships that she has with her clients. She is fiercely authentic and a firm believer in giving back. Beth has a strong commitment and passion for community leadership. She holds the SRES, MRP, PMN, RENE, C2EX, and ePro designations, and soon will take the helm as the 2022 president for Sacramento's Women's Council of Realtors. As a mentor and teacher of California real estate contracts, forms, and disclosures, she encourages continued education and developing a philanthropic service lifestyle to strengthen and transform our community. She is a member of the Sacramento Realtor Association's Education Committee, as well as a committee member on various legislative, housing, ethical, and policy committees, including home ownership and affordability with the National Association and California Association of Realtors. Above all, Beth has learned to let go and work with authenticity and open communication, which has served her well. Good morning, Beth. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Good morning, Angela. Thank you for having me.
So you are from California. And
Yes.
What's it like in California today?
Well, I'm in Sacramento, and we had just a little bit of rain last night, which is wonderful. But out here in drought-land, we need a lot more. But
Yeah.
it's beautiful out here, living and working. I love it.
Are you from California?
I am born and raised. Yep.
And what's the market looking like for you guys right now?
Well, it is calming, but not calm, in my opinion.
Okay.
We've gone through the crazy time where before you were even able to schedule a showing on a property, they're listed and pending,
Mm-hmm.
and quickly off the market. And those who could not play in the buying game, many FHA buyers with down payment assistance, they've had to hang back. But the good part about that is they've been able to hang back and save some more money.
Yeah.
Maybe help them out in the long run. And so that's the next step that I believe is going to be able to be successful in this market.
Yeah. So you're starting to see more FHA buyers come back and things like that. I know I have.
Yeah, same here, out here. Yep,
Yeah. Which is great. I think that's the American dream, right? That's what we strive for. So
that's
I'm
right.
glad to kind of get back to more of a normal thing.
Right.
So tell me, how did you get started in real estate?
Well, I always wanted to be in real estate. As a very young girl, I loved looking at houses.
Mhm.
I love the architecture. I love the whole part of the structure and how a home comes to be. And as I got older, I realized, okay, so here's the foundations. This is what you do. And my dad was actually surprised that I didn't want to get into architecture or design. I wasn't that creative, but I was always good at math, and I love people. And as I progressed through school, and my mom's like, well, you just are so analytical. You should just go to law school. So that's what I was going to do. And then, you know, years later, you meet this tall, dark-haired, blue-eyed boy, and off you go, being a mom and raising kids. And here we are 32 years later with everyone grown and on their own and grand people, all over the place. I'm like, yeah, I've had a great career. So the last 18 years, having a real estate license has served our world very well. And I am so eager to continue to please my clients and serve
Mhm.
them The referrals I receive from my previous clients, it's the best gift ever. So
Right.
being able to help people and structure the deal, that's
Mhm.
been my thing.
Yeah. So in addition to selling homes though, you're also involved in a number of organizations and you keep up on your designations. Tell me a little bit about how you're serving your community that way.
Well, continuing with my education, always learning, learning, learning. I am about to be installed as the Women's Council of Realtor Sacramento Network president. For
Congratulations.
thank
How
you.
big is your network there?
Currently we have 57 members,
Wow, okay.
and that is with you know realtors, national affiliates, and strategic partners. Well, we have 11 strategic partners, but you know, being able to gap that marketing and communication and community awareness between our strategic partners, their businesses,
Mhm.
and us as in the real estate market as realtors or lenders, home inspectors,
Mhm.
larger banks, et cetera. Roofing companies, everybody has a place at the table, I
Yeah.
guess, if you want to say. Okay. So we all support each other. And that's what I love to do for our community in that capacity. And then, the other capacity is I am on the Sacramento Association of Realtors Education Board, and I'm going into my fourth year as a mentor. Um, I love helping the soon to be agents and brand new agents learn how to be real estate agents,
Mhm.
move into your career very fluid instead of, all right, I have this license now, what do I do? Right.
Mhm.
So teaching them and it's not just me, there's 11 of us on the board right now, and being mentors to others. That's another way that we give back, so we can ensure that they understand the contracts and the disclosures and the
Right.
why we do these things.
Well, then they feel confident going into it too, and that's half the battle, I feel.
Well, I would have to agree with that, yes. Um, I had a little bit of confidence um, when I received my real estate license.
Mhm.
And that confidence was because I knew my contracts. Coming from a prior career in the legal field, I knew that this is the right way to do business and this is the wrong way to do business. And if you want to be successful, this is the path you need to take. But the rest of it, I was kind of floating out there on my own and moving forward over my last 18-year career as a realtor. I didn't want anyone else to feel that way. So if there's anything I could have done or
Mhm.
could do, I wanted to make sure that others didn't feel the way I did. And so
Mhm.
that's what I, preface that on.
I find a lot when talking to people in your position who are successful realtors but involved in their community, it seems that um, putting a priority on education and giving back is really forefront for a lot of these people who are building these successful real estate businesses. And how do you find the time to fit in things like that are not necessarily a contractual need right now? I have to get this home inspection wrapped up by whatever day. That's a need, something that has to get done right then. How do you take the time to prioritize doing these other things, and how do you justify taking that additional time?
Well, I call it massive multitasking 101.
Okay.
Everything, including my home life, gets put on the calendar and I share it with my husband because it's just us here.
Mhm.
And, that way he knows where I'm going to be for obvious reasons.
Mhm.
If anything happened, safety, but also um, knowing that I have support, that he's there, like, okay, well, you're out and about doing all of these things. He'll kick in. no problem, run a vacuum or unload the dishwasher. So that support here is the foundation that allows me
Yeah.
to go and do what I need to do in order to assist my clients moving forward with their real estate careers. There's there are many days where you're standing there at a home inspection and you're on that phone and you're still talking with clients and scheduling showings. But I also utilize a great referral source. So
Hmm.
between my women's council colleagues and my own brokerage with Sotheby's, uh, I utilize the colleague system to best suit my clients' needs, and in turn, it helps my daily calendar run pretty smooth.
Yeah. So that's relying on other agents to help
Mhm.
with showings or things like that when you need help as a support
Right,
system.
and at the same time, they know that they can count on me
Yep.
to do the same thing when they need help, so I love it. It's a great, partner system.
Perfect. So we were talking about having a support system with colleagues at work, but also with your husband at home. So what are some things he sees your calendar? What calendar do you use?
I use Google.
Okay.
Google is, the only way to go in my opinion because,
Yeah.
it's so easily interfaced with so many of our programs and, works well here at home.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I use too. I use Google Calendar for business, and then I use Cozy for family, but it
Good.
integrates so you
That's
can,
good.
yeah, have each one kind of share with the other. Technology is great that way, but I still have a lot of people that I work with who use like the paper calendar and they
Yes.
carry it around with them. And I just that was me, and I used to always have to make sure that the purse that I was buying was big enough to carry my planner in it, and,
Absolutely.
God, I'm so glad I don't do that anymore. I took the leap, and it's like it's so freeing to just be able to easily go in and see everything, and, in the fall, I don't have to carry 2 planners because now I have one for next year and one for this year.
Right?
Yeah. So,
It's all centrally
organization.
located.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, all your kids are out of the house. Have they were they still in the house when you were working in real estate, or is that something
Oh,
you started later?
no, I started, let's see, well, it was 2004 I became licensed. Our son graduated 2009 and our daughter graduated 2010. That's from high
Okay.
school. Um, I I have a stepdaughter also, but she wasn't living with us. And so when I say I have three kids, she's just amazing as my husband's and my, two children. I just adore her as much as mine. And we've worked very hard in the beginning, and now it's just, easy peasy, just loving each other and being really good friends. And
Yeah.
so that was a huge help, right, to the family
Mhm.
unit. But the kids, my son and daughter were just heading off to college and in 2009 and 2010, and I was just finishing the foreclosure market at that time.
Mm. Yeah.
So when they were in high school, I was very, very, very busy, like
Mhm.
solid 3 years. Um, and I look back on it, think, how did I ever do that? But again, it
Mm.
was the family unit. We were all working together.
Yeah. Looking back on that time, because I remember a very different, um what my life was going through at that time is much different, but I had very little kids, and no money because the market was just it was just so hard. So you can't really have a babysitter all the time, and and I'm just trying to get through and do what you can do, but that market was just is so tough. Looking back at that time, what would you say is there anything you took away from that and changed about the way you did business in the future, or look back and said, I'm not going to ever do this again?
Well, yes, there is one thing, and I will never ever go back and do again. And those but while I say this, I'm not essentially saying it was just, rough. The market analysis, property inspections for all the mortgage servicing companies.
Mm,
Our time is, worthy
mm-hmm,
of um, being utilized in our best service mode, if you will.
mm-hmm,
As realtors, we have an opportunity to help many people, many companies, many investors. During that time period, every realtor who was out there working with mortgage servicing companies during that time period was not utilizing their best self, I guess I
mm-hmm.
should say, in the most PC manner possible. So that was a lesson learned,
Yeah.
to make sure that when I look at myself in the mirror and, uh, excuse me, go for, moving forward. But the one thing that I noticed is that I would never waste my time again and spin my wheels. There you go. I would
Yeah.
not spin my wheels as a realtor. It's very important to not do that.
Yeah.
And then another thing that was learned is how it all works and
Mm,
how you can best service your clients without compromising the proper way to handle your business. That
mm-hmm.
was a huge thing. And then, because it's threefold. And then the third item that I learned is this too shall pass.
Mm,
The
right.
market will change. It will change for the better. I have to hold that out. And during the downtime, educate yourself.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And I kind of I'm not gonna say I feel bad, but well, I kind of feel I kind of feel bad for agents who are just getting into the business in the last few years.
Mhm.
Um, they don't know what it takes when a listing doesn't sell. They haven't had to adapt. They haven't had to be creative. They hadn't had to really evaluate and change their marketing. So
Mhm.
now I'm seeing with the market cooling is agents who just got in the business in the last few years, their listings are staying on the market even longer than necessary because they haven't figured out, they haven't needed to figure out what it's actually going to take to get a home sold. We've had to have those tough conversations. We've had to be there before. We've had to strategize and think about, okay, if this home doesn't have an accepted offer in the first 30 days, newer agents now are like 30 days. Oh my gosh. Well, that's unrealistic. That could never happen. Oh
Right.
yeah, get ready. And got to start learning and figuring out now how you're going to change and adapt when you really need to. So we've been there. We know what it takes and we've learned those lessons, and there's going to be a lot of hard lessons to learn, I think, for some of our new licensees
I
coming
agree.
in.
I do agree wholeheartedly, and preparing them for that is very important. But also, I happen to have one of those listings right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful home. It's priced 30,000 below market comps. What's going on?"
Yeah. I think we all
So,
have those sometimes, and it's just very humbling to, I think, be in that situation
mhm,
and be understanding too, because I think that i- we're such a unique um career in that, you're in competition with
right.
people who may be, sitting on a board with you or be across from you at an arbitration, or, who know, you're working together in your industry and yet you're competing against each other.
Mhm.
And I think it's important to be understanding and acknowledge that not everybody knows. For agents who I think go on to appointments and they can be so 100% confident this is the value of your home and this is how long it's going to take to sell, I just think is so uh, dis- disingenuous. Is that the
Yes.
right word to use? I
Yes,
think
I would
it's
agree.
nobody knows, but to be able to own that and be honest
Yes,
and to say, hey, this is what the data is showing me, but nobody knows for sure until we put it on the market and figure it out. And then here's my plan. In the event that
mhm,
this happens, or this happens, this is how we're going to tackle it.
that's right. And open communication is so important. I mean, that's my top priority in life.
Yeah.
Open communication with everyone in your world, especially when it comes down to open communication with your clients.
Yeah.
They have hired you to help them achieve a goal. If you don't have that important one-on-one conversation with them and say, look, this is what you want to achieve, and I want to help you achieve this goal. And everything in between here, that's a
Mhm.
lot. We have many steps, many plateaus. There's going to be a day here and a day here. But open communication, listen to what they
Mhm.
have to say and put on the next hat that we need to wear of, you know, friend,
Mhm.
perhaps, even though we are in business together. Um, hear what they have to say because we can learn so much just by closing our mouths and listening, right?
Mhm.
And that's very important. And then our clients feel that we have allowed them to be empowered to be in the driver's seat, if you will,
Mhm.
in their major financial decision of selling or buying a piece of real estate.
Mhm.
Having a seller and saying, the market is this and this is what we're going to do and this is what and it's going to happen on there. You're doing a complete disservice to
Right.
your clients. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Yes.
Yeah. Having the tough conversation is actually very freeing,
Mhm.
rather than avoiding, skirting around some of those tough things to talk about. And it's tough for a reason. I mean, it's a lot of money that people have on the table, and you're responsible, you know, and you've set the expectation of what's out there. So
Right.
I'm but what having those tough conversations, sometimes you just walk away like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that that's out there," and it usually doesn't go as bad as you think it's gonna go.
Well, that's very true in
Yeah,
all things. I mean, the whole tough love with kids when you're raising them and you have to have these conversations and
yeah,
their eyes are rolling in the back of your head, but you still have to keep focused and keep
yeah,
saying it. It's the same thing.
yeah,
It's just repeat, repeat.
yeah, and at the end of the day, they're grateful for the conversation as
Mhm.
well. So,
Right.
I think that's gonna be something that we're gonna have to relearn, as our conversations are going to shift as the market is shifting.
Well, that's very true. They're already shifting because of the type of buyers that are coming around now. So we're
Mhm.
dealing with a completely different genre
Mm.
of people, age-wise. And then there are those that, I'm open to change, but might not necessarily see the 100% benefit, but I can, you
Mhm.
know, derive some benefit from that and put it into, implement it into my plan. I'm all for that. The the technological side of where our genre is right now and
Mhm.
where we're going to in terms of buyers and sellers, they're far more savvy than they were just, 5 years ago, let alone 10
Mhm.
years ago, right? And the programs that are available to our buyers now, there are so many. It's very confusing for them to navigate through that. So, of course, we would
Yeah.
need to have a team effort, right? And
Mhm.
again, we go right back to the foundation of open communication.
Yeah. And I think the hard thing too is that, while it's very empowering to have all of this access to information as a consumer,
Mhm.
um, it gives a false sense of being your own realtor. You know what I mean?
Right.
You feel like, well, I have access to all the same things. You have
Not kind
access
of.
to a lot of things. It might not be the same information, but
Right.
also, I have uh, sometimes tough conversations revolves around, well, I'm checking the comps myself. I've sold my home 5 times before. Okay, all right, I understand. I sold 5 homes last week.
Mhm.
And, when you look at that, yeah, that's a lot, and that's going to make you feel empowered, and that's great, and that's a great conversation as a team to have moving
Right,
forward in a transaction. But acknowledging that if you're working as a full-time realtor for the past 15 years, you definitely have more to bring to the table than what's
right.
going to be available online.
Well, that's exactly it, and to further that point in agreement is buyers are out there online, and then they're texting or emailing you, "Oh, what about this? What about this one? This is in my price range." Well, of course, I provide that with a link to get into the MLS that's current for the area, and I put in the criteria that they qualify for, so only those specific homes are emailed to them.
Mhm.
Not that I'm keeping anything and everything on the market from them, but
Mhm.
it is situated to their buying needs,
Mhm.
what their buying power is. So when they text you and email you all these because they get so excited because the price is, right for them. Well, this condo doesn't qualify for FHA because there's too many
Right.
lawsuits or there's too many tenants versus owner ratio and it's
Mhm.
not allowed. Or yes, that is your price range, but the HOA was so exorbitant, you know,
Mhm.
flips you
Yeah.
upside down. So those important factors relating to the whole big picture of them buying a property, they're not privy to that, but
Right.
we are as realtors.
Yeah.
And that is a huge, huge thing that I think needs to be um, put out there so they
Mhm.
can help them. Again, it's empowering them to understand how important we are to
Yeah.
the completion of their goal, right?
Right. Right. And to give them, like you said, the power of information,
Mhm.
and having all of the information and having that knowledge base behind you is going to put you at an advantage.
Exactly.
Um, yeah. So, and I think that's a lot of what the consumer, or, new licensees, or people who have this aspiration to work as a real estate agent, um, those are the things that isn't taken into consideration, or they don't see. What do you think is maybe like the biggest misconception of what you can expect working versus as a realtor versus what is actually happening on a day-to-day basis?
Um, as it always is, in my opinion, pricing.
Yeah.
The largest misconception that sellers and buyers have in any given market is pricing. You
Mm.
have your seller because obviously this is their home, it's very personal to them. They've done all these wonderful things and they see the prices out there and they feel that they should be able to get that same price. Well,
Mhm.
while that may be a gem and a diamond in a rough in this neighborhood, unfortunately, that same price cannot be achieved, sadly, because of trending market prices, right?
Mhm.
Yes, your home is worth $500,000, but no other home at this age and in this area is bringing it. Now, my goodness, if we could, then everyone around you would benefit from
Mhm.
it, right? At the same, end of the spectrum here, buyers, well, they're asking 500,000 and I think it's, I only want to pay this amount of money, 425,000, so let's offer that. Well, this is a $500,000 home.
Mhm.
We can't go into a $500,000 home when you only qualify for 425, right?
Right.
And in, you know, in conjunction with that, with buyers, we need to educate our buyers that here is a price tag. You may qualify for $500,000, but do you want that payment? What
Mhm.
payment are you comfortable in making? Well,
Mhm.
that qualifies you at 400,000. So we're going to look at 400,000. We'll look
Mhm.
a little bit above. If you fall in love with it and you decide, yes, I really can spend this in my head, even though on paper we can, but in my head, I can spend 15, 16, 18, $2,000 a month, right?
Mhm.
Then fine, we will move forward like that. But don't just jump up there. Oh my gosh, I can afford $500,000, but I only want to pay $900 a month. Well, that's just not going to work. And so that education level is very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. And that's not something that's gonna be easy to find just searching online. That's really where you need
That's true.
somebody to guide you through the process, especially for first-time home buyers and even sellers. I work with a lot of clients now, sellers who are parents of people that I grew up with, and so you kind of come into it from a situation where you feel like, no, this is the parental figure that I had
Right.
for 15 years, and they have never sold a home before. They've been in their home for 25, 30 years. So um, they need just as much guidance um, as 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 anybody else, and anybody who might be younger or something like that. It's just an interesting dynamic, I think, sometimes to go into. So,
In that
uh,
same respect, I've got the kids who my kids went to school with and I've watched grow up. I'm putting them
yeah,
into homes now, and what an honor, right? But
yeah,
at the same time, when you have your older um, you- people in your circle that you've looked up to, and they're
mhm,
asking you, "Oh, it's time to sell my house. I want to." You have to have that hard conversation. You want to please them because you love
mhm,
them. At the same
right.
time, you got to have that hard conversation, right?
So now that you have 4 grandkids, right?
Yes.
So how do you have that talking about tough conversations? How do you have that conversation when it's time that you want to kind of be done working for the day and spend that time with your family? How does that work?
Well, I have 4 grandsons under the age of 7, and none live here, unfortunately.
No.
3 are in Virginia, and 1 is in Idaho. So, I work, 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 work until it's time to go get on a plane and go visit.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you
But,
rely on your colleagues and
right,
yeah.
and, great, marketing assistant, thank goodness,
Mhm.
and, while I'm there, it's very easy for me to just shut everything off and focus. I mean, there are little deadlines and,
Sure.
if a little fire comes up, it's easy. You can quickly handle, thank goodness, because especially when I'm back on the East Coast, I can kind of jump ahead of the problem, right? Because I'm 3
Oh,
hours ahead of
sure. Yeah.
schedule.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it's time to go and visit, it's great. And thank goodness for technology because, Skype and Snapchat and
Yeah.
Instagram, I can see
Do
what's
you
going
have a
on.
certain way that you, kind of set the expectation with your clients up front or a way to make them feel like, okay, even though I'm might be gone, you
Mhm.
don't want them to feel abandoned or you don't want them to feel like they're
Right.
not going to get the same level of service because you are away and, you want them to feel comfortable. Is there any way that you kind of tackle that?
Again, open communication.
Yeah.
Hi, here we are. This is what I have coming up. When you look ahead at least 30 to 60 days out, we're going to be
Mhm.
hanging out together, doing business. I do have this planned, or like with my traveling with Women's Council, and I'm
Yeah.
also with California Association and National Association on some committees. There are certain requirements of me. Well, I'm going to be here. However,
Mhm.
I am still here. Never stop email me, never stop texting me, call me. If I'm not available, I will receive your information and I will respond the moment that I receive it.
Mhm.
And so I think they're like, "Oh, no, no, it's okay." I'm like, "No, absolutely. I'm leaving today. I'll be back here." And then when
Mhm.
I'm, where I am, I'm always in communication with them. So they feel, again, the open
Mhm.
lines of communication.
Yeah.
There's always going to be one that says, no, and I'd rather, wait until you get back. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, okay, well, that's all fine and dandy. And I respect that. But here we are in the market. Do you really
Mhm.
want to wait?
Yeah.
So,
So you usually have that right up front that you
mhm,
let them know, a month away, you have something planned
mhm,
or scheduled or
absolutely.
yeah.
And, at the same time, even late in the evening. So constantly working, but some days there's just that hard stop, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, even just mental health. You might not have anything planned, but there's days you just have to have a hard stop that day.
that's right.
Yeah.
Sundays are typically my day. So, you know, I would love to sleep in, but as we get older, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And so, from about noon or 1 p.m. on Sunday to the evening, that's kind of like our
Mhm.
time. And that way I can, maybe make some dinner.
Mhm.
Our daughter lives here in town. So maybe, she'd like to come over. We can go do something, whatever the case may be with other family members. And then I will check, 7:30, 8 p.m. on Sunday night. I'll check to see what happened throughout the day
Sure.
and address it and reply to them, thank you. And so still
And that's just
being,
kind of a regular
yeah,
Sunday plan you have. Yeah.
yeah, moving into Monday, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It was same thing for me. So we're talking on a Monday last night. Kind of same thing. I just took 30, 45 minutes and
Mhm.
just went through whatever just to make sure that coming into Monday morning,
Yep,
I knew what to expect. I had already gotten ahead of a couple things that I thought might come up, and it just makes for a night much more less hectic
yep.
way to start the week.
Pre-planning.
Yeah.
Pre-planning is the way to go.
Yeah. And real estate can be a very nights and weekend type of job. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I think, if you're not holding open houses every Sunday, Sundays seem to be the day that everybody else kind of wants a break from houses too. So
Agreed. Yes, yes.
very naturally, there's usually less going on a Sunday.
Well, that's true. And Saturdays are like, okay, we'll be gone all day. We have plans. You do what you need to do. And I'm like, are you going to be okay being gone for 6 hours or whatever from your home? Because usually I'll do like splits between myself and maybe a couple other agents. So we have
Mm,
the house is fully open. We got events planned and stuff.
okay.
And yeah, somehow it just works out that, they're happy, but they know Sunday they get to veg and do whatever they want to do. And if
Yeah.
they choose not to pick up the jammies that day, that's all fine.
Yeah.
And then another thing, I don't know if it's everywhere, but because I'm not fully versed on showing time, but I love showing time. It
Yeah.
integrates with our MLS. So you just
Yeah.
block out the time that there are no showings, and then that's that.
Hmm.
They know that they
That was a
can,
game changer.
right?
That was so great because that used to be half the battle, is just
Right.
making sure you don't miss the call for the showing.
That's right.
Um, and that was one way that in the past, even though that's a service that my brokerage at the time offered,
Hmm.
was setting showings for you, I felt like that was a personal service I could add to my sellers, was for them to go through me. Well, I
Right.
mean, there goes half your day. I mean, you've
Right.
got 2 listings, your day's gone just scheduling things, which is silly. What a waste of, you know,
Oh yeah.
what we can do is to be
What
a scheduler,
it's
you know?
just a complete game changer for a resource. I just when I
Mhm.
saw that, I'm like, huh, that's kind of interesting. And then the first time I used, it, I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. Same. Yeah, whatever, and I always feel too, and I know you said you have a very good referral business, and maybe you can talk a little bit about what you've done to build your referrals over the years, but I just feel like if something doesn't require the knowledge that I bring to the table and doesn't require the licensing, why am I doing it?
Right.
I mean, other than, doing some marketing and things on Canva, I don't need to do that, but that's fun for me. So that's just a nice, fun thing to spend an hour doing.
See, I love to
It
hear
brings
that.
me joy, so I'm gonna do it anyway. But, scheduling home inspections and doing just those, like collecting, title, things like that, um, that's not something that I should be spending my time on.
I get that. Yeah. I have, it was very difficult in the beginning for me to let go of
Oh, yeah.
things. And those two words are just phenomenal, right? Let go.
Mhm.
Well, okay, but if I do, that means I'm not on duty. But if you build a team
Yeah.
that is like you, then you are on duty.
Yeah.
And, uh, the escrow team, I have worked with them for almost 12 years now.
Mhm.
Um, and, there's been a few changes through personnel, but it's still been the same two
Mhm.
people, right?
Mhm.
And so that is comforting to me to be able to let go on some things.
Yeah.
I know that
And
if I
trust
need
those other
to trust people,
affiliates. Yeah.
yes. And, the same thing with my marketing assistant. She's licensed. I've empowered her to become a salesperson. So stop being an assistant, go out and give it a shot. You have a license to earn a paycheck.
Mhm.
Go out and help people. Let's see. And she loved it, but it just wasn't for her because now she has a little one. And so now I'm able to offer her to come back here and help me out, which is a tremendous relief off of me, right?
Mhm.
And then as her son gets older, then, she'll be more and more free to go do what she wants. But at the same time, having her licensed means I can let go and I
Yeah.
know that she is fully capable of handling these things. So that again goes right back to the foundation. If you
Mhm.
have a good support system, everything is possible.
Yeah. I feel like that's one main, repeating, thing that I see is agents saying, "I wish I had help sooner. I wish I had let go sooner."
Mhm.
I hear and you have to to some extent be a very type A personality to be successful in this business because you are running your own business. You are
Mhm.
your own motivator. You don't have quotas that other people are setting for you. And so I think it's hard for most of us to get to that point to just be able
Right.
to hand something off. Well, they're not going to do it as good as me. They're not going to do it my way. And it's not, and sometimes you just have to breathe a little bit.
Well,
It's gonna
that's
be
true.
okay. Figure it out.
Systems
Um,
in place are very important because if it's your business, you should have the systems in place. If you don't, then you don't have a business. I'm
mhm.
I'm just 100% on that. Um, but that is a learned effect. I
Yeah,
wasn't always like that
sure.
because when you're starting out, you're always run, 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 chase money, chase money, chase, 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 right?
Mhm.
And then you're like, what am I doing? And you
Right.
see others that are so successful, and you're like, okay, take a step back from myself. Those who don't take a step back from themselves are never going to be successful. And
Yeah.
I think that translates into many facets of one's life, right?
Mhm.
Um, if you don't take time for you
Mhm.
and balance yourself out,
Yeah.
um, you're not going to be able to move forward successfully.
Right. Yeah. And that's usually learned the hard way.
Mhm.
Burning out or getting to the point where you just kind of feel like you're reinventing the same thing every transaction
Right.
um and it's taking that time to get the systems in place so
Mhm.
that they're there. You will earn back 100 times the time you
Yes.
put into putting the system in place. You will earn
Yes.
that back. Um,
Absolutely.
and if you get that set up, then the right assistant stepping in or the right partner or whoever it might be stepping in can simply plug it in. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of things, and this is one great thing about real estate is that every transaction is different, right? You're
Right.
learning something new every time, but
Every
there are
time.
some steadfast things that will be the same every single time.
Mhm.
You'll have an accepted offer. You are going to get title. You're going to have a home inspection. You're going to go to closing. And why not have those systems
Right.
in place?
Once those systems are in place, then anything that occurs off the ordinary beaten path, you're able to handle it
Yep.
quickly and manage it in the appropriate manner it needs to be managed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I kind of wanted to touch on your referral business that you
Mhm.
brought up. And you are fortunate to have kind of some repeat business and things
I'm
coming.
so honored in that
Yeah.
respect. I mean, it is the hugest honor to have repeat business, but also in terms of referrals. Um, you know, I it wasn't my idea. Somebody once said, "Oh, you have a license to practice real estate in the entire state of California. Yes, you know Northern California, or at least your neighborhood, but why don't you market the entire state? Pick
Mm,
areas that interest you or that you know about." So, Southern California, I know a lot about it.
hmm
I love it. Travel there all the time, visit family. So I started doing that and marketing to that area. But just after I marketed, I also did my homework to find the best colleague that I would want to
Mm,
refer to, or colleagues I would want to refer to in these areas, because I can't be there.
yeah.
But to broaden my horizons and encompass all of my colleagues, so we could all work together, I just started doing that. And then here we are.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and when I look for colleagues, I look for many things. I don't look for top producers. I don't care how many sales you have and how much money you make. I look for those who are committed to their business, committed to themselves in education and educating their business. I mean, you don't need to have all these designations, but those designations do tell me that you have taken an interest in yourself and your business to further yourself in
Mhm.
your career. And that's important to me. So those are the types of colleagues that I refer to. And I'm just blessed to be able to know the people that I know right now, in terms of that. And they know that they can count on me.
Right.
You know, when someone's relocating from San Diego, they know that they can count on me when they're coming up here, and vice versa. Okay. So
Mhm.
so I'm just very, very
Just
lucky and very blessed to know
building
everyone like that.
relationships.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Open communication and building relationships.
Awesome. I think that's a great place to end today. I think that I really enjoyed our conversation, and I truly appreciate you taking the time to share with me today. I hope you have a great rest of the year here.
Thank
Um,
you.
and going into next year, hopefully everything continues to be strong for you.
Well, thank you, Angela. I am honored to be able to share so many things that I've learned with others, that if I can make this a little easier for you, please allow
Yes,
me. And thank you for allowing me to be able to share some things today. Maybe someone hearing something goes, "Hmm, that's right, I can do this." Open communication, that does work best with somebody. Anything that I can do to be of assistance is that's what I'm all about. So I really appreciate you thinking of me and having me today.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Beth.
Thanks. Take care. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye. If you have found value in these episodes, please be sure to share and subscribe. I have so much more in store with guests that I can't wait to learn from.